Let's take MDC. Let's take MDC. As we all know, they were founded and funded by the Westminster Foundation, primarily to oppose the land issue. So they were complicit in asking for the imposition of sanctions. They were complicit in opposing the land redistribution program. They have been complicit since then in asking for their continuation as a punitive measure. First, the sanctions were put there to reverse the land reform program. When they found it's not possible, it's now irreversible, they are continuing them now as a punitive measure, and as I mentioned last time, to act as a deterrence to other countries not to embark on the land redistribution program like we did, like what Zanu PF did in Zimbabwe. So, but we do have members of MDC who have recanted, who have basically said, we were wrong. We oppose the empowerment of our people. And I think that in this regard, Madam Khupe, he basically is now singing a different song on the issue of sanctions. She's now calling, along with us, for the unconditional removal of sanctions. But you get your Chamisa, your Biti, your Colters, they remain unrepentant. And what we are saying is, it's never too late to say to the people of Zimbabwe, whom they've caused so much suffering, to say, we are sorry, we should never have asked for those sanctions. That alone, I think, will be a very therapeutic statement coming from them to the people of Zimbabwe.
Yeah, thank you very much for the response. Yeah, just to add on to what Comrade Chinamasa has said, it is important for us to know that we have a historical problem with Britain and the EU, in that the Royal Charter
in the United States
that was used to oppress this country was authored and authorized by Her Majesty. It rods on oppressing or colonizing this country. He was doing it on behalf of the Queen Mother. This is why you saw at independence, the Queen had to send Lord Solms to come and manage the election. So we have a traditional problem, if you like, with Britain, America, and the European Union. People say America never colonized any country, and that is true. But they are the biggest sponsors of colonialism because they benefited more. If you want to go back to history, slave trade, they benefited much on slave trade than any other countries. You know the history of their plantations and so forth. Now, it's now like tinemusha maperera hamazedu kufa mwana wedu Ruben oinda onoroora mumusha imomu vabereki voti no, you don't do that. Makuesa unoona akabva mumusha umu Ruben oti semsina dzisiwa nawo ini ndova ndina I am a phone call away from them. You are a phone call away from vanhu vakazadza makuva kana vanhu vachinda kuchimoyo kunyadzonya nampundwe kumukushi vari kuninda kunoona vanhu vakaurawa neBritain neAmerica. And we cannot, not one of us should hope that in their normal senses the Americans can ever want to see a black Reuben Barwe progressing, especially after the land reform. They will not want that. So, your question was, who should they apologize to? He rightly said, the people of Zimbabwe. Because this is a historical question. When we went to war, we had about 8 national grievances. And the prime grievance was the question of alienation from the land of our forefathers. And who did it? It's Britain, supported by who? America and the European Union. And for one of our people that benefited from one of the policies of free education from the independent Zimbabwe to go and say, I want to align with the Americans and the British, it's unfortunate. And it is cause for asking for apology. Thank you.
In fact, I always say and regret that you have very educated Zimbabweans, a majority of them educated by Zanu PF since independence. And they use their education to spite their country. They use their eloquence to undermine the economy of their country, to put into disrepute the very country which educated them. That is very regrettable, very disappointing. You don't get that in respect of other societies. Other societies, they are very patriotic. Even when they go into the diaspora, they learn skills, they come back to build their country so that their country can prosper. When they acquire any resources outside the country, they bring them back home in order to enrich their own country. But we do not find that kind of thing within our own population, which is why as a party, we are going to take strategies on how to mobilize our population in the diaspora in terms of party participation. This is something that we've been discussing, especially with the Commissar, and we have been very clear that we need to reactivate the participation of our people in the diaspora so that they take an interest in their own country, in the economic, social, educational welfare of their people. So this is work in hand.
Thank you very much. I'm taking the last two questions. These two gentlemen, we're a party that is sensitive to gender balance. I thought we were going to have a different voice from the ladies in terms of questions today. I don't know whether you... Let me go to the guys. The tallest guy behind the camera. Identify yourself so that I'm sure this is your first time.
I assisted for Advocacy and also sports. So Advocacy is in the event that we have people who are already occupying party positions, they will also be public office bearers. According to me, if I'm wrong, say maybe in the past some that was not clear pronouns. But in the event that we do have people public office bearers who already have party positions, what will happen?
Yes.
And to my spoke to the folks, what are the expected outcomes of the anti-sanctions move and also, do you foresee the countries that impose sanctions on Zimbabwe being moved by such a move?
Those are your questions. Take note of them. Leadership. Yes. Identify yourself as well, and then speak a bit louder.
My name is My question is, as a party, what is your position in regards to events happening in Nigeria?
Sorry?
As a party, what is your position in regards to events?
I know on that one, I'll take that completely out.
Yeah. We are not Nigeria.
Policy is non-interference in the internal affairs
Indeed.
of sister republics, especially when there are issues that are being peddled on social media, most of which have no basis at all. So we have refused social media to set the agenda for the party. So that question doesn't come up.
In fact, I thought that you remember in 4 weeks ago, we had a similar relational situation between us and South Africa. And how did we resolve it? That is the answer. Non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries.
Anything on the Netflix launch tower?
Yes, but we asked the province from which she hailed from to write to us, to inform us formally, and what their recommendations may be, if any. We never discuss any substantive issues pertaining to her status or otherwise. That is left to the province from which she comes from. They will, like is the practice, they will make their recommendations and it will come to the Politburo, then the Politburo will decide. As of now, we have nothing before us, but just information that she passed on.
May I also rest in peace. Comrade Matimadanda, on the question of civil servants, then maybe
I think this is more of a legal question. Comrade Chinamasa, his other profession is a land fellow. He can, I think, answer that one. But what I think is that laws are made, and when they are made, they should be applied. Well, pane vanhu vakatadza mutemo usati wavepo vakaitwa sei?
Are there any?
But I'm saying when laws are there,
What?
obviously they should be applied and they should affect all the people.
Okay,
But
that
I
was
think
an
every
exception.
case will be taken.
Wasn't there an exception for
measures.
councillors? Yeah, because they are politicians.
probably on the same comment.
Yes, for once, I don't have an immediate answer for you. First, I'm not aware of any civil servants who are holding party positions. I'm not aware. But if there are, it's not permitted. If it's not permitted, it's up to the aggrieved to raise it so that those people will cease occupying positions in government. But I seem to recall, this is why I say, please give me, I want you to apologize profusely. I seem to recall that there was a dispensation given with respect to councils, the need for a quality leadership to lead councils. And I'm not sure whether there was an exemption on those who were teachers that they could participate. This is something that I can take home and come and brief you more fully when I fully investigated. Because it was found that most councils, especially in rural areas, did not have quality leadership who would be able to read the balance sheet or to understand what a budget is. And I think there was some exemption given to allow party people, teachers to participate in elections. Obviously, when they do so, they participate under the ban of a political party. But this was purely a specific exemption, if I recall. But if I'm wrong, I'll correct myself next time we have this brief. But this was specific exemption for councils, rural district councils. Then, of course, the other question, what is the expected outcomes of e-Gala? First, we are raising the awareness among our population. We are raising awareness globally, regionally, continentally, and globally. And it is through this solidarity that we hope one day those countries which have imposed sanctions on us will yield to the international pressure. Right now, because they are superpowers, they don't care. But if we remain persistent and insistent that sanctions must be removed unconditionally, and they become isolated as they are currently isolated, one day they will remove. In international politics, solidarity is very important. And you again say, will these countries be moved? I think the answer remains the same. We have been agitating, as you know, as third world countries, especially as Africa. We are not represented on the Security Council. But we have been agitating for representation, and will continue agitating for representation as a continent for as long as it takes. Will they be moved? Given their racism and racist attitude, it will take time. But that should not be an excuse for us to let up on that fight for representation on the Security Council. This sort of thing will not be happening if we were also represented. We will not let up on the demand and call for unconditional removal of sanctions against Zimbabwe and against other countries also, Sudan, against Venezuela, Cuba. Cuba, by the way, has been with them since 1960 or thereabouts. 60 years. So you can see how skewed the power structure in the international communities is concerned. The superpowers act in complete disregard of the rules they set up themselves. The rules they set up themselves is that any lawful sanction should be by the Security Council. Anything else outside that is a declaration of war. And in our case, as you know, we have those declared sanctions. Those sanctions, declared or undeclared, are illegal in international law. But of course, the fact that there are big powers, they will get away with it. But not forever.
Quite very clearly articulated by the Comrade spokesperson. I must take this opportunity, Comrade Acting Spokesperson, Comrade National Political Commissar, as we say goodbye to you, because we know that you already missed the wilderness, the situation. In the contemporary, these are our villages, our communities where you spend the time mobilizing for the party. So, and